Hi guys, welcome back to our channel, where the darkness comes alive, and nightmares become reality. Today, we have a bone-chilling tale to share with you, straight from the depths of terror itself. Get ready to be gripped by fear, as we present Paul's harrowing encounter on a desolate road, where the line between reality and nightmare blurs. Paul tells me his real scary story about 2 years ago that I was driving home from a family reunion pretty late at night, and the drive was about 2 hours. I didn't stay the night because I had to be back for work the following day. Most of the drive was on roads with dense bushes and trees on either side, the real creepy ones you see a lot in movies. Anyway, I had been driving for about 45 minutes, and I was starting to get really tired. You know how sometimes you just suddenly become really tired, out of nowhere? Well, yeah, that happened to me. I knew I wasn't going to last, but I didn't come across any place where I felt I could park and safely sleep. Anyway, after it became clear to me that I wasn't going to find a place to pull up, and my tiredness wasn't going away, I did something very questionable. I pulled over to the side of the road onto the grass, behind some bushes, to try and hide my car from anybody else who was going to come past. I made a mental note that the time was 11:22, and then fell asleep. Some time later, I was awoken by a scratching sound. I looked at the clock. 11:50. The sound stopped after a few seconds, and because I was still extremely tired, I didn't bother looking around and simply went back to sleep. I was later awoken by the same sound, and it was now 12:40. This time it really freaked me out because the sound didn't stop. The thought ran across my mind that it was just an animal inspecting the car. But why would it return almost an hour after it had left the previous time? I looked in my rearview mirror and just managed to catch a glimpse of something running away into the forest. Now, at the time, I thought it was the damn hook killer, you know, the one that scratched the couple's car and then slaughtered the guy when he got out to investigate. That, I thought to myself, so I got the hell out of there. There was a bend no more than 100 yards up the road, and as I came around it, there was a car parked off to the side of the road with the driver's side door open. I slowed down just to look to see if anyone was in there. Then I looked in my rearview mirror. I didn't see anything, and all of a sudden, this guy comes sprinting around the corner. He starts screaming at me, shouting stuff like, hey you, get the fuck out of your car. Now, I noped the fuck out of there and sped off. I never saw the guy again. Moral of the story, don't fucking sleep on the side of a deserted road. But the story doesn't end there. The incident left me shaking, my heart pounding against my chest. I couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched, as if eyes lurked in the darkness, just beyond the reach of my headlights. I kept glancing at my rearview mirror, half expecting to see the man chasing after me, but the road behind was empty. As I continued driving, paranoia consumed me. Every rustling leaf, every flicker of movement sent shivers down my spine. The night seemed unusually eerie, the air thick with an unexplainable tension. I couldn't help but wonder who that man was and why he wanted me out of my car so urgently. To distract myself, I turned on the car radio, hoping to drown out my racing thoughts. Static filled the speakers, punctuated by intermittent bursts of garbled voices. It only added to the unsettling atmosphere, making me more uneasy with every passing mile. Just as I thought I couldn't bear the tension any longer, I noticed a peculiar light ahead. It flickered in the distance, barely visible through the dense foliage. Curiosity and a hint of dread compelled me to investigate. I slowed down and cautiously approached the source of the light. What I discovered sent a chill down my spine. It was an old, dilapidated cabin, seemingly abandoned for years. The windows were shattered, and the door hung from a single hinge. Yet, a dim light emanated from within, casting eerie shadows on the surrounding trees. Against my better judgment, I parked the car a short distance away and stepped out into the night. The crunch of gravel beneath my feet echoed through the silence, amplifying my unease. With each step closer to the cabin, the feeling of being watched intensified. As I reached the cabin's threshold, the light within flickered, casting elongated shadows that danced on the decaying walls. Hesitant but driven by an unexplainable force, I pushed open the creaking door. The room was dimly lit by a single, flickering candle, casting eerie shadows across the worn-out furniture. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew out the candle, plunging the cabin into darkness. Panic set in, and I fumbled for my phone, desperately trying to illuminate the surroundings. In the pale glow of the screen, I caught a glimpse of movement from the corner of my eye. Whispers filled the air, disembodied voices that seemed to come from all directions. They grew louder, more frantic, and a sense of malevolence consumed the room. Shadows twisted and contorted, taking on grotesque shapes. It felt as if the very essence of the cabin had come alive, enveloping me in its sinister embrace. Terrified, I stumbled backward, crashing into a rickety table that collapsed beneath my weight. The cacophony of whispers reached a crescendo, reverberating through my mind. I could no longer distinguish between reality and hallucination. With a burst of adrenaline, I sprinted towards the door, desperate to escape the clutches of the haunted cabin. I could hear my heart pounding in my ears, drowning out the persistent whispers that lingered behind. As I burst through the door, the night air hit me like a slap in the face. The darkness was no longer comforting. It was a void, an abyss that threatened to consume me. I stumbled back to my car, fumbling for the keys in my trembling hands. When the engine roared to life, I peeled away from the cabin, leaving behind the haunting whispers and the horrors that lurked within. To this day, I can't explain what happened that night. Was it a twisted prank, a figment of my exhausted mind, or something far more sinister? I may never know. One thing, however, is certain. I'll never forget the terror that unfolded on that desolate road, or the chilling encounters that followed. So, my friends, it's better to keep driving than to stop and tempt fate.